Coming up on Country Morning today, employers and job seekers in the state have it made when it comes to economic opportunities. Plus, a proposal by state education leaders would take highway patrol officers out of their cars and put them into schools. And later, it's not just elections, how a report details Russian meddling during the Dakota Access Pipeline protests. It's Friday, March 2nd. Country Morning today starts now. We've never had a fatal school shooting in North Dakota, but administrators say we'll have to do more than cross our fingers and hope it never happens.
School security dominated the discussion at the state capitol Thursday. Our reporter John Salling has more on what's under consideration. Basler and the Highway Patrol will be meeting today to iron out some details of which schools need help.
Teachers and administrators talked about a lot more issues as they met to discuss solutions. Superintendent Basler says the group's top priorities are school training for identifying potential safety threats, what to do with the information, and making sure there is adequate follow-up, making safety improvements to school buildings, greater access to school resource officers, and expanding the availability of behavioral health specialists.
Social media postings about the Dakota Access Pipeline protests may not have all been real or domestic. A U.S. House committee report says Russia may have been involved. It says the Kremlin used social media to influence U.S. opinions about energy and environmental policies, specifically mentioning the Dakota Access Pipeline. The report says our domestic energy infrastructure was a primary target of Russian agents by encouraging protests of pipeline construction.
American energy dominance is a great threat to their economy, which is, of course, then a direct threat to their national security. And so it's not surprising that they would have a vested interest in trying to upset our energy markets.
The report says the Post also targeted a number of other pipeline projects.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says Russia has tested an array of new strategic nuclear weapons that cannot be intercepted. Putin says the weapons include a nuclear-powered cruise missile, a nuclear-powered underwater drone, and new hypersonic missiles that have no equivalent elsewhere in the whole world. Putin also said the creation of the new weapons has made NATO's U.S.-led missile defense useless. The White House accused Russia of directly violating its treaty obligations.
Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort will appear in court today. He's scheduled to enter a second plea in federal court where he faces 18 new and modified charges. Manafort has a home in Virginia, and the counts of lying on tax returns and failing to report foreign bank accounts were filed there. Because of a technical requirement, the accused must be charged in federal court in the state where he filed returns.
All right, 5 minutes past the hour. Kurt is back with a look at our forecast. Kurt, good morning. Good morning. The skies above Camp Grafton are about to get a little more crowded.
The National Guard and Northern Plains Unmanned Aircraft Systems test site announced a deal that will give private business space to test drone technology.
Andrew Horn has more on what the deal means for the state. This agreement is open-ended, which means there's no set end date.
Ranchers and farmers are attending the Mondag Ag Days and Trade Show in Sydney. Educational sessions at the event center range from crop production to this year's weather outlook. More than 40 vendors are there showcasing their latest technologies. Many farmers and ranchers say they're hoping to find better alternatives managing their crops after parts of the state experienced a drought.
We're raising a lot of feed for calves and for all of our cattle, and so that was kind of an interesting year, and the markets made it a difficult year as well, but we're persevering.
The Mondag Ag Days and Trade Show continues today at the event center from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Gas prices in North Dakota were higher this year than they were the past 3. Drivers are paying a quarter more a gallon than at this time last year and 75 cents more than 2 years ago. AAA projects the national gas price average this spring will be about $2.70 a gallon, and North Dakota should be close to that.
Montana Dakota Utilities is expanding its wind farm near Hettinger. The project by Elite Clean Energy will add another 16 turbines. MDU says the $85 million expansion will boost its renewable energy from 22% to 27%.
We make our decisions through an integrated resource plan on what our future demand may be and what kind of resources we may need, and it's all based on cost. The bottom line is the least cost option for our customers.
The Public Service Commission approved the expansion request in November.
Bismarck police have released the name of the man who was arrested after barricading himself inside of a building for 2 hours on Wednesday. Police say the man is 38-year-old Nathan Carlson. He was arrested for endangering by fire or explosion, preventing arrest on a felony charge, disorderly conduct, and fleeing on foot.
A truck memorial was held in Wishick for 32-year-old Wayne Halverson, who died on Saturday in Island Park, Idaho. The memorial of almost 30 trucks drove down streets in Wishick in remembrance of Halverson. The drive was put together by some of his friends. Halverson died when his snowmobile went off a trail and hit a tree. All right, we got to take a short break, but when Country Morning today continues, the man who some called America's pastor will be laid to rest today, and it's expected to draw thousands of people. Details up next. An hour of Country Morning today. 2 North Dakota natives are giving a new meaning to North Dakota nice after they played a huge role in taking home the gold at the Winter Olympics. Plus, in Dickinson, a defendant changes her story at a murder trial. And later, tax season is an opportune time for scammers to strike, but the state has some tricks up its sleeve to make sure you get your tax return back.
Welcome to Country Morning Today. Your morning news and weather headlines start right now.
Round by round, Jocelyn Lamoureux. 2 goals apiece in the shootout. Lamoureux moving in on Zavadas. She beats and scores! Pete Rooney to keep Canada's hopes alive. She is stopped! The United States wins gold in Pyeongchang!
That is so exciting to wake up to this morning.
Gives you goosebumps immediately.
It does. For the first time since 1998, the U.S. women's hockey team has beaten Canada for the gold medal at the Winter Olympics. And a pair of North Dakotans played a big part in the final moments of the game, as you just saw. In the third period, Grand Forks native Monique Lamoureux broke away to shoot a game-tying goal. After that, the game went into a scoreless overtime, then to a shootout. That's when Monique's sister, Jocelyn Lamoureux, came up big. She was the 6th shooter to take the ice in the shootout. She sneaks the pass to the Canadian goaltender and tucks the puck home, putting the U.S. up by 1. Team USA's goaltender blocked the final shooter from Canada to win that game 3-2. And this was the first shootout in Olympic women's hockey history, and we have reaction from Jocelyn on what it's like to score that winning goal. Take a listen.
I'm just so happy I could help in any way possible, and I've pictured and visualized moments like that thousands of times, and for it to just to get the nod and for the coach to throw me out there, there was no doubt that it was going to go our way. Jocelyn and her sister Monique Lamoureux Miranda were members of the past 2 U.S. women's Olympic teams that took home silver medals in 2010 and 2014. Now, they lost both of those games to Canada, but last night the sisters and all of Team USA finally got their redemption. How exciting, right? 20 years. Yeah. Well, there was a flurry of other medals for America in Pyeongchang, but the biggest moment of the Winter Games might have been the women's hockey. Jay Gray has a follow-up from Olympic Park. We're following some developing news out of the weather department this morning. Let's go right to Kurt Olson for an early look at what's going on. Kurt, good morning. Yeah, we're talking about a major earthquake off the coast of Alaska this. Our top story this morning is Governor Burgum's State of the State address. Burgum will address state lawmakers, citizens, and other attendees on the campus of Minot State University. He'll speak promptly at 10 a.m. at Anne Nicole Nelson Hall on the MSU campus. The auditorium seats 900 people, and about 700 will be open to the public, so you are encouraged to get there early. There will be overflow seating at the Aylshire Theater in Hartnett Hall, where the governor's speech will be broadcasted. Dr. Stephen Shirley, MSU's president, says that parking will be limited. However, no ticketing will take place prior to and during the governor's address.
I would say get here early. Again, these are instructions and so forth, information coming out from the governor's office. Don't bring backpacks or bags. I think there will be security checks as you walk through, and so to just expedite the process, you know, you want to plan accordingly that way. The governor's office says that in the address, he will highlight the state's challenges and successes from the past year and outline his vision and agenda for the future. The State of the State is traditionally held at the Capitol in Bismarck, but things are a little different this year. That's right. Our reporter Bo Evans reached out to the governor's office about that change in venue. Bo, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. Alyssa, it's great to be here with you guys this morning. The governor's office responded to our questions about the change in venue via an email. One of the main reasons Burgum was taking his message on the road was to make sure that he could communicate his vision for North Dakota across the state, and says Minot has positioned itself for the future with its downtown revitalization project. Also, Minot states Nelson Hall has double the capacity of the legislative chambers. While the governor will be in Minot, state Democrats will give their response from the Capitol in Bismarck.
This is a year where our caucus is changing how we present our response. Instead of having a press conference style given by leadership, instead we wanted to invite and engage with some of our other caucus members.
The Democratic response will be given by Representative Ron Gugasberg 30 minutes following the governor's address. Remember, you can watch it all here on KFYR and KMOT.
All right, Bo, we'll check in with you soon. Thank you.
Governor Burgum has been in office for more than a year now, and we can expect he will use this platform to reflect on his accomplishments as well as his vision for the future.
Let's go to reporter Molly Hurley now, who joins us from Minot State University to break it all down. Molly, good morning.
No travel advisories are in effect for much of the state this morning, and many of you may be wondering if you should hit the road.
Right, and to get an update on what some current conditions are like we're seeing behind us right here, Bo Evans is actually out inside of a snowplow this morning. He's got more from Bismarck and Mandan. Bo, good morning to you.
Mark, Alyssa, we are headed north. Go ahead, Tom, do what you got to do, because we got to go to Kurt for weather on the 5s.
All right, thanks, Bo. Looks like you're having a lot of fun in the plow this morning. Let's talk about those road conditions out there. But as for now, we'll check out those conditions live in Minot with Megan Von Barron.
For now, back to you guys.
All right, Megan, thank you. Why don't we head west now to Dickinson?
Our team coverage continues with Andrew Horn, who has more on what things are like near that part of the state. Good morning, Andrew.
Well, about 25 minutes ago, I said the winds were starting to die down.
Coming up on Country Morning today, a busy night in American politics, what you need to take away from President Trump's first State of the Union address. Plus, a regiment from the North Dakota National Guard is deploying to Minneapolis. And later, how leaders are trying to fix a drop in riders on a public transit system. It's Wednesday, January 31st. Country Morning today starts now.
Good morning, everyone. If you're just waking up, it's an exciting morning. I'm Alyssa Dickert.
And I'm Mark Charter. Thanks so much for joining us. We're talking about the super blue blood moon this morning. Why don't we go to meteorologist Kurt Olson? He's joining us from our studio. We've also got our photographer Donna Hart out there running that live picture for us. Kurt, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, check out. You can already see that eclipse starting to happen. You're starting to see the shadow on the top, about left-hand corner of the moon. So that's where that eclipse is going to start to happen, and that will continue to filter in, and then eventually give it that reddish color. But good news, we do have mostly clear skies, at least in Bismarck, so that's helping us out a little bit more. Let's explain more in depth about what that super blue blood moon is. So if we take the graphics here,